So he's making a lot of progress, but that's what happens when you narrow your niche to the right audience, is that you'll spend less money in marketing, you'll work with fewer people, but you'll have such a high conversion rate that it'll match those of you who have broad audiences, and you'll just have to get in front of a lot more people because of the lower conversion rate, because it's more like birdshot. If you're gonna use a shotgun and you're gonna hopefully bring down some birds in a flock, you hope that you get a big enough flock to bring down more than not, right? So if you need to spend less money and you want to work with a higher quality, higher converting audience, then you just need to be willing to niche down. All right. So yeah, I've been super excited to share this training simply because it was definitely life-changing for our office and helping our advisors really systemize whether you're doing a workshop, webinar, whatever the marketing campaign is, and it gets people to schedule an appointment with you online, how do you convert those into high probability of sales? And depending on what products or services that you offer, you specialize in, whatever your unique sales proposition is, usually will determine, well, I'd say that, and are you connected with the right target audience? Does your service meet the needs of the right target audience? And then do you have a process in place that walks them through how to get from interested to like, knowing, and trusting you, and then buying into the process where they're asking you that most beautiful question? Let's dive in. You guys saw the agenda for the meeting. It's been up for a while, so I won't even go into it. But it is about perfecting a process, and that process needs to be transferable. I know we have a lot of advisors here who work together in a team or as a couple. And if you do, you want to make sure that you are on the same page, not just the advisors, but also your support staff. Because when you do an event, whether it's virtual or in person, you want your support staff to know your founder story. You want them to know your target audience. We've talked about that. I gave out the handbook this morning. If you didn't get it, John, I know you sent out the email, but there's some people here who aren't part of Better Automate. John, can you share the link to the handbook and the questionnaire in the chat? Sure. So that people can understand that as you build your brand, you need to identify your founder story, your niche, your unique sales proposition, and that target audience that matches your why story. So that the thing that you're most passionate about is also the thing that your audience is most passionate about. You make that connection, and your conversion rates will double, triple, quadruple. So he's making a lot of progress, but that's what happens when you narrow your niche to the right audience, is that you'll spend less money in marketing, you'll work with fewer people, but you'll have such a high conversion rate that it'll match those of you who have broad audiences, and you'll just have to get in front of a lot more people because of the lower conversion rate, because it's more like birdshot. If you're gonna use a shotgun and you're gonna hopefully bring down some birds in a flock, you hope that you get a big enough flock to bring down more than not, right? So if you need to spend less money and you want to work with a higher quality, higher converting audience, then you just need to be willing to niche down. And it's important to set those expectations before you have the meeting. That's why sending an appointment package. Why we have digital calendars. Why would we send stuff in the mail? What is the value of sending something in the mail? It's a lot of work, costs money, but why is that so critically important?
That's the expectation for the meeting, and it also makes sure that they're serious about having a meeting.
Yes. There's one more thing I'm looking for. I'm going to reach here and grab one package I got from Simplicity.
Pardon? It's called the thump factor. It's called the thump factor, right?
Okay, explain that, Doug.
Drop that on your table. Let's hear it.
So Simplicity sent me a package before I went to the advanced sales training, and I got this box and I opened it, and look what they mailed to me. They could have waited till I arrived, but look what they mailed me. Why do you think they did that?
Ties in more of a commitment.
That's exactly right, because that binder and that tag, guess where it's going to sit between now and when I attend the event? It's going to sit on the dinner table, the counter, or my office desk. So how much more likely am I to attend when they've taken the time to send me something physical in advance that's going to sit out in the open in my home?
Mm-hmm.
How many of us lose
to forget it?
How many people have signed up for a webinar? It's in your inbox. You get the confirmation, but then you forget. You forget to add it to your calendar, and then it passes and you're like, I missed that. How many people have missed a webinar? Okay. Well, that's the point. The point is that we've got to do something different than what everybody else is doing if you want a different result than even the results we're giving ourselves by missing things. So having something physical in advance. Carol did this today with her movie preview, the premiere. We encouraged her to send out packages in advance with name badges to get into the premiere, and it increased her attendance rate significantly from the national average. And if you have a second person, an assistant, doesn't matter who it is, you can even use your VA. Why is it important to have them log in and not be you, but be an assistant that helps collect their financial questionnaire? And also, if they haven't turned it in, they may have not even done it, so we may send it to them. And then why is it important to log in early and have somebody else facilitate the tech side of it?
You can focus on doing what you do best.
Well, and it's so and exactly, and it's so that the prospect understands your time is valuable, and that's why another team member is coming on and getting you prepped. Let's face it.
Kind of like your receptionist.
That's exactly right. And if you're doing it digitally, you should also be trying to follow the same format. We all think, oh, well, that's too much, and it's not, personal enough. But the reality is, has anybody ever gone into the doctor's office, even a virtual office, and the first person you connect with is the actual doctor?
Only on a house call.
Only on a house call. That's true. Okay, outside of a house call, virtual doctor's visits and actual doctor's visits. Who's the first person to greet you?
Your receptionist or their office person.
The office. And then are they going to let you go in and see the doctor without you filling out the doctor-patient paperwork?
Oh, no.
So why should you be any different unless you're less important?
Right.
The idea is that we're trying to show respect for your time. And my staff knows that they don't bring in the advisor until the questionnaire is finished. So then I typically go to their LinkedIn profile. I try and do every social profile, and I'm filling out a profile on them. Mm-hmm. So I know that when I get this 1 hour with them, it's the first meeting. When I get this 1 hour with them, I'm armed with as much information as I possibly can get. Are they married? How long? What do they do for a living? How much do they make? How much have they saved? What are their kids' names? Are they caring for parents? How do they feel about insurance? How do they feel about long-term care insurance? I want all of that information before my very first meeting so that I'm prepared to go in armed and then lead this conversation right where I want it to go. You have to know how to ask a question. And then soon as if they're going the wrong direction, then you're going to ask a clarifying question to change their direction and go the direction you want them to go. Because you're trying to get them to talk about what are their fears, their ambitions, their dreams. And if they're not honest about that, then you won't be able to get to the real heart of the issue. The point of asking questions and the art of asking questions, rather than educate, don't educate, especially in the first meeting. You're trying to create connection so that they'll trust you. The more that they trust you, the more honest they will be. The more honest they are with you, the more clarity that you'll have about their values and their fears. How many people have gone through like 2 or 3 meetings, and then you have a prospect bring up something out of the blue, like you go through this, you think you have clarity, so you go ahead and you put a proposal together. Part of that proposal is a UL policy, and all of a sudden you see them close off, pull back, and you start to inquire why, and they say, oh, my parents lost their home because of somebody sold them a life insurance policy for retirement in the 90s. The thing went upside down. They had this huge tax event because they were on a fixed income. Okay, now we're getting a bunch of honest information that we should have gotten in the first meeting. And what do you think that just did to their trust level with you? That you didn't catch that in the first meeting, designed a plan that involves something they hate and have all these ill feelings towards. What does that do to the progress and confidence of working with them as an advisor to lead them where you want them to? The number one mistake that advisors make, including our own firm, is that we think that we know better and need to teach and educate them to change their mind about what they think about what is valuable and not valuable when it comes to financial planning. For instance, there are people who they value having no mortgage going into retirement. Now, could each of us prove to them mathematically that with a 3% mortgage and investments that are fairly safe, that are 2 to 3 points higher than that, does it make mathematical sense to pay that mortgage off when you could invest the difference into an investment that makes double what the interest rate is on the mortgage? Now, do you think the client cares?
No.
They don't, because they value peace of mind more than they do money.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that now. Mm-hmm.
And if you start preaching at them that's inconsistent with their values, then they're going to tune out. They don't feel heard. They feel talked over. Like, let me teach you that you're wrong. That's the number one problem we have in this industry. You know, people may be sold for 10 years that bank on yourself whole life insurance is the only answer. And if you spend the hour trying to show them comparison charts about higher expenses and there's more profit with IULs, do you think you're going to increase their confidence, or are you going to make them feel start to question the process? Yeah, that's exactly right, Carl. You're going to make them feel small. So it's important that we may specialize in a certain area of financial advising. We may have strong opinions about stuff, but it's super critical in this first meeting. Do not oppose any other value or opinion they have, no matter how much you don't like that particular perspective of that particular investment.
Okay, Rob, could I say something real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a client that I dealt with years ago. They know me from years ago and the opinions that I held or whatever. And they said, oh, you probably think that my wife wanting to pay off the house is a crummy idea. That's what he said to me. And I go, you know, Eric, I've learned quite a bit over the years since we last spoke. And what's important to me is what's important to you and Jolene. And so that's where I want to go. And I could see him relaxing with that because he was ready for a fight.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I don't have a fight for you. I want to do what you want to do.
And that's perfect. And that's why at the end of the slide, we talk about asking for permission. How does that sound to the both of you? Because that's a check-in. It's like, if you've said something that's opposing to them and you ask them, how does that sound to you? They're going to give you feedback about, well, I'm not sure I agree, or they're going to clarify. Then you know that you do not have it right. And there's a great analogy that somebody gave me is that, look, when you're in a meeting, if you push in on someone to challenge them about any sort of thought process or value, even if they're absolutely black and white wrong, what's the natural instinct when you push into somebody?
They're pushing back.
They push back. They defend themselves. So what do you have when you have two people pushing into each other?
Conflict.
You have
Collision.
a stalemate. Yeah, you have a stalemate.
Mhm.
So the one thing, and then how do you get rid of the stalemate?
Step back.
You step back. Don't press in, don't challenge, just listen. If you start, maybe you accidentally step into the wrong question. All you have, and you seem to be an ideal fit for our firm. Ideal based on what? If you found common values, then why are they a fit for your firm? Because we share common experiences and common values. That's why niching to an audience you can relate to is so important, because if you just shotgun blast and you get, let's say, and just for fairness, let's say you're a liberal and a conservative comes in and you both have completely opposing views about religion and politics, how likely are the two of you to get on the same page and make them feel like you understand all the things that are important to them? Probably very challenging. So it's important that we do identify, it doesn't matter where you stand or what your common experiences are. You just want to connect with people that feel like you understand them and that you have a deep understanding because it's important to you. Okay. So, and then, but I'm not 100% sure. This is the pullback or this is the take back. If you're always leaning in, trying to sell, then they're always going to know what your motive is. And so we pull back at the end of this first meeting and say, but I'm not 100% sure. So here's what I'd like to do next. In order to be certain, I need to run a financial diagnostics. Now, what is it, financial diagnostic? That's that software that you use. It doesn't matter what it is, Wealthy and Wise, Retirement Analyzer, what's the circle? It's another software. I can't think of them at the time. Anybody else that use any other softwares? Okay, if you need one, I would encourage you to get one. They systemize the entire process and it illustrates the solution that represents their values and solves their problems. And here's what I want you to do is I want you to find a software that produces one summary page only. No illustrations, no 70-page analysis, no spreadsheets, one summary document. The other document that you're going to have in the next meeting is called an asset roadmap.